Well, yep. So the mics are good. We got somebody tinkering with the mics. I'm gonna kill him. Okay. Well,
Are we up? Okay.
we are up. So, yeah, it looks
share?
good. Yep, just hit share.
Here we go.
Technology. It's a fun thing. So, as these two goobers are, so as these two goobers are essentially getting all the stuff ready for Facebook Live. We have two fellas in here, obviously Adam, and we have Kenneth back in here. And essentially, guys, if you guys have any questions, cool beans, please ask it on the Facebook Live. We love some interaction. But as we're kind of starting, there's going to be kind of a few topics we'll kind of discuss throughout the day, or today. But, Kenneth.
Kenneth, you are on camera.
he is rapidly tapping his phone.
Turn off.
I don't know what I did, guys. I'm sorry. It said to join or something. I'm just trying to share it.
Okay.
I'm learning.
There you go. No, you're good. Okay.
I don't know what to do.
So, I guess we're going to kind of say this a couple of times throughout the podcast. But to kind of open up, obviously people on our podcast, we are having an event this Saturday at a newer subdivision. It's called the Boulder Subdivision off 101st. You really can't miss it as long as you follow the flags. So, it's going to be a fun time. It's a scavenger hunt. We encourage you guys to come out with you and your family. Just come bust down some doors, check it out, find the clues, turn in the sheet at the end, come hang out, and enter a chance.
Yeah, might win some stuff. It's right. So if you go down 374, as soon as it crosses with Whitfield, you're going to make either way you're coming, but you're going to turn on to Whitfield away from the opposite direction of the Walmart, and it'll be the first right. There's a subdivision right back in there.
Yeah, you're going to see, I think it was the townhomes or apartments, but if you take that right.
Before those.
Yep, you just go straight back. You can't miss it.
Big old sign that says the Boulders, and you'll see our flags out there. You can't miss us.
Yep. So, I think today we kind of all agreed on talking about, what do we project the year to finish off with? And I think, obviously, I got pulled into Joey and Chris's podcast, or their Instagram Live that they do every Wednesday. Shout out to them. But it's they kind of asked me the same thing. What do I project? Coming from the lending side, what do I think would happen by the end of the year? Maybe obviously what would happen next year. I think we talk about next year quite a bit. So, I'll open up the floor and kind of discuss, from my side, it's just super volatile right now, guys. And I want you guys to understand, with it being super volatile, you have to understand one thing, that if you are shopping around for rates, you honestly need to shop around on the same day, because rates are changing almost hourly. Okay. We do anticipate some mortgage relief, but it doesn't mean that it won't get worse before it gets better. So just understand that, yes, rate's important. It's not everything. It goes back to affordability, but I do see it, it's going to be a bumpy ride. The Feds always talk about a soft landing for inflation. That ship, in my opinion, has sailed. I don't think there is any soft landing. I don't think there's any easy way of putting it. I honestly think that it was just their way of trying to control inflation, and
they're just talking.
It's just talk. And at this point, guys, we're all feeling it. It's not I promise you, it's not like we're any different. We 100% feel it. It's not anything that we are discarding or not saying that it's not real, because, I vomit each time I fill up my truck, and I hate walking out of Sam's Club with 4 items and it cost me $300. And it's ridiculous.
Yep.
So,
on average, the statistic's been out there for a while, but the average family is spending $700 more per month than they were last year.
Yeah.
So we're all feeling it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just again, just understand for this last quarter, let's say last 2 months really. I do see rates just being super volatile again. Okay, but I still see some relief coming, which is good. It's just one of those things that how long, if you want to wait for that storm to come, how long are you willing to wait? And again, we talk about it all the time. You have to pick your poison at this point. Like, you get in little skin in the game, or save you some skin. When by skin I mean money, or you just fight with all the other crazies that's going to come out. So
do you think? I guess to kind of let's say the first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Just rate wise, and we'll kind of come in afterwards. I'd like to talk about a plan of action between the rest of this year and let's say the first quarter of next year, if you for buying or selling. But for the rate wise, like, what do you, again, disclaimer, like, nobody really knows because nobody knows.
Oh, I know. You apply with me and you shop around with me, I'll tell you what rate you get.
No. I'm talking about Forget it. I'm out of here.
No. There is no guarantee. We never have a crystal ball.
You're getting a 20% rate if you apply right now today.
Right now, guaranteed, locked in. No, man. Honestly. So again, here's how I project it. It's going to be super volatile, and guys, I'm going to bring it up. It's election year. Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't understand how much that does play into effect of how our economy functions, what's happening, just interest rates as a whole, it happens. And again, with an election year coming up, with us coming off a very high year for rates and inflation, it's going to get wild. But I seriously project that in the first quarter of next year, we're definitely going to start seeing some movement in the rates for the good. If you guys wanted to, for fun fact, you can go to Fannie Mae's, which is a conventional loan product. You can go on their website, and they have their forecast for 2024, and they do project the rates.
Does Freddie have the same thing?
I haven't checked Freddie, but Fannie and Freddie, they're going to be pretty much on the same page. But in a nutshell, if you guys were just interested, you guys could always go on their site and look up the real estate forecast, and it kind of breaks down, their projection of what rates would look like, what the appreciation rates would turn into, and again, it's a projection. There's not saying, hey, we're guaranteeing any of this. But guys, again, history does repeat itself, and there's just a lot of things that's trending for this 10-year treasury to finally catch up, because it hasn't changed much. It's always been going up. I did a video, I think last week or a week before, and I just talked about how mortgage rates were tied to the 10-year treasury. Okay, and that really hasn't changed much. It's only went up. So essentially, guys, it's at some point in my opinion, it's peaked, and the only way is down, and that's just going to benefit us.
Well, that's a historical thing, right? We've talked about this with several of our clients. All of us have, in this fact that everybody was like, oh, they're going to stop. The Fed's saying they're going to stop rate hikes, and they're going to. It wasn't for your benefit. Don't get me wrong. All right, it's a great thing for everybody. But you got to understand too that historically speaking, once everything, or inflation, if you will, or interest rates hit a certain limit. Yeah. Historically speaking, that's when everything just basically started crumbling. Yeah. So they've had to put that ceiling there, which is it's like the actual number is like 7.38 point something, whatever, right? So we'll call it 8%, right? So that's like the magic red line is that 8%. So they really can't get it above that, because everything economically basically starts to just disintegrate. Yeah. So they have to have that lid there. Yeah. And that wasn't because the Feds love us and the government's trying to help us out. It's not. They're actually just trying to stop everything from coming down like a house. No,
you're wrong. You're wrong. Uncle Sam loves me. You know why? Because he loves my money. So, we pay them taxes hard.
So you think? So do you think that the let's say, so again, first quarter. Okay. So we'll say almost half that. So do you think that? And again, this is all speculation. Yep. Let's say January 1st to into February? Do you think there's going to be a good move there, or would it be more like March or April would be the more move marker?
I think it's going to play out in two ways. Okay. I think it could be a trickle down effect to where it's going to be a gradual, nice, steady drop.
Okay.
Or I could also easily see in being like, dude, we have peaked, and there's literally we can't. It's just going to not nosedive, but it's going to decline at a rapid pace. And to be fair, at the end of the day, it really just boils down to, who do you really want to listen to, who you want to trust? Because, we're talking about this right now, and you got somebody else with a mic saying, oh, rates are going to go at an all-time high next year, or, well, hey, we're going to go into this massive foreclosure. It's all about your knowledge and what do you see. Like, from our side, what do we see, right?
Well, I would say market, the physical independent market that you're in is going to play such a massive effect.
Yeah.
So for us in the Clarksville / Middle Tennessee area, if you will, there's no decline. Like So, and I talked about this the other day with a guy, and matter of fact, we were talking about this the other day. Statistically speaking, we are still technically, as Clarksville, in a seller's market. I don't care who wants to argue with me about it. Technically, we are still in a seller's market because we're low on inventory. How many? What do you think we got? 2 months worth of inventory? Maybe somewhere in there, a month and a half. We don't have that much inventory. So for us to have like this, drastic rate drop, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wants to start shopping, dude. We're rounds complete in like a month and a half, easy, because we don't have enough inventory that's available.
Well, but that's what I kind of expressed to a lot of people, man, is, the people who bought when the rates were in the 2s and 3s, you guys have gained so much appreciation. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, and again, those were historic lows. So you guys got some of this historic, appreciation. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be to that extent, but this is your second chance, honestly, to kind of creep in before and capitalize on the market as it is now. And,
so I guess to kind of retouch something we've hit it several times, and Kenneth actually brought this up to me the other day that we probably need to have a whiteboard in here so I can do some redneck math.
You can write it on my forehead if you want.
We've said it before a few times that, so you have this thing called appreciation, right? Appreciation is when your house value that's going up over time, right?
Yep.
So I've said it 100 times here that exit 1 for Clarksville is roughly around a 3.5%. Exit 11's somewhere around 5%. It's been that way for quite a while. During the height of the hysteria, exit 11 was somewhere around 11%, or exit 1 was somewhere around 11%, and exit 11 was somewhere around 18%. So it's been pretty drastic for those times.
Yeah.
Now, if you do the 3.5%, right, on a house that's $375, so that means next year, right? I'm using $375 because that's kind of the average price house right now, right? So you have $350 to $400. That's about the normal for like, let's say, newer construction. So let's go with $375. That's $17,500. It's going to be worth more in 2024 of October than it is today. So now this is and this is not a sales pitch. I'm just trying to get you guys to kind of get on my level with the math. So when I look at interest rates, right, and this is not it's not a sales pitch to get it. I'm just trying to get you to understand the math. If you're only planning on living in this house, let's say for 5 years, and then you're either going to rent it or you're going to sell it because you're PCSing or you got another job or doing whatever. Let's say 5 years you're in this house, 3 to 5 years. Because that's the average anybody stays in the house anyways before they move. Statistically, I think it's like 3 to 7, but really it's like 3 to 5 around here. So that 6% interest rate or that 7% interest rate that you're paying on that loan doesn't even equate to the appreciation of your house. You're talking your house is appreciating double, if not triple, almost double every year than what you're even paying. So you could make triple your money on your investment. So an ROI, right? Return on your investment. You could make triple your investment, if you will, if you're just looking at the interest alone. So therefore, you couldn't invest that money, that amount of that 7% that you're paying extra a month, say it's $300 or $400. You could not invest that with an investment banker and get that kind of return. Like you can't. You literally cannot.
Unless you got lucky and you wanted to roll the dice on like some crypto or something like that, maybe.
My man Brandon, he'll hook you up.
Maybe. Shameless plug. Brandon Murphy, shout out.
Brandon Murphy, I love you, man. Yeah. Another dude for like 20 years. Awesome dude.
Yeah. Love his bow ties, man. Love those bow ties, man.
But the thing with it is, and that's what we're trying to get people to understand, that it's not, you got to look at buying a house. It's an investment, right? It's not necessarily always a forever thing. It's not a solid thing. It's like, I'm going to have this forever. It's going to be my thing.
Yeah.
You really have to look at it from a numbers point of view, not an emotional point of view.
Right.
And if I can buy a house now, granted, even if it's a higher interest rate, and my math works, right? To be like, I can, because when I say my math works is it affordable? Can I afford it? Is this within my budget? I'm not telling anybody that they need to go pay $500 more a month for something that you can't afford. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is, if it's within the budget, don't worry. Don't focus so much about the interest rate, because your appreciation of that house is going to very much well surpass the amount of money you put into for the interest. Does that make sense? And that's what I try to tell people. That's the point of view I try to get people to look at. Again, it's not a sales pitch.
Right.
It's math. It's literally just math. And I'm trying to get people to understand that whether you have and with a 3% interest rate, I mean, I've run into a lot of people the last couple of months that have just been absolutely heartbroken over the interest rate, and I get it.
Yeah.
But when I really get down and I start drilling stuff down and trying to figure out what's going on, they would have maxed their budget out. They're looking at a $400,000 house, being like, "Man, this interest rate's too much." But they would have bought an $800,000 house if it was 3% versus a 6%.
Yeah.
So what does it really freaking matter at that point? All you're trying to do is max out what you can buy anyways. How about we figure out what's comfortable and what's affordable, and we work from there, and you use it as an investment to buy something bigger, better later.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. So like I said, we do this. So we do Facebook Live, which I can see we have a question. So if one of you guys want to grab your phones, because mine's up there.
They'll buy a house if Dana Payne grows a beard. He's got a beard. He's working on it.
Is that Jason?
Listen,
bro.
Look, it's the lighting. It's the lighting. That's all.
Listen, I'm still going through puberty. Okay, it's going to happen at some point.
Crystal Garrison says that is his beard. He is trying.
Oh, is it? I got to show you something as soon as this podcast is done. He knows about it. Oh, no, she already knows. Talked about it this morning. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm showing you something as soon as this podcast is done.
What?
You're going to love it. No, you'll have to see for yourself.
No, it's not podcast appropriate.
Crystal. And again, so we have this Facebook Live, but our main focus is the podcast. So, obviously if you guys want to tune in, that's great. But it is our main focus is this podcast. So, I think let's kind of, where we see, we kind of chatted about what we think the end of the year is going to kind of finish like. So let's try to prep people of, hey, you want to wait. That's fine. Okay. So I think we should kind of talk about maybe how do we prep people if they want to wait.
So, right? Okay.
Kenneth, so let's start with you, man. So if you have a buyer that comes through an open house and they're like, yo, man, I heard interest rates are going to kind of fall next year. I'm just going to wait till next year. So, obviously you've said, hey, it's probably better to buy now just because you can kind of keep money in your pocket. But they're very adamant about buying next year because all they care about is the rate. So I'm curious from a real estate side, how would you educate them or how would you prepare them if that is their goal? Because I can tell you from the lending side after you go.
I mean, basically just caveat off of everything that Adam just discussed. I mean, just as far as looking at it from, not a sales pitch perspective, but from a mathematical standpoint and breaking it down to where they can see it with the numbers and looking at it from an investment perspective. And having those facts on hand and not just, taking at face value.
Yeah.
because I do run into that every weekend at open houses. Usually, the first thing that comes out of a buyer's mouth, is the rates.
Yep.
And some people want to hear about what we have to say, and some people are just closed off, and it is what it is. Unfortunately. But I'd absolutely say this is the time to buy if the math works in your favor as far as the monthly payment and where you're not going to be house poor. You need to pull the trigger now, because if you wait till next year, you're gonna see the effects of everyone coming out of the woodworks. You really are.
Well, so here's kind of how from the lending side. Here's what I prep a lot of people for, because there's been plenty of people who have just pumped the brakes and they're going to wait. And you know what? There's no shame in that. Is it something I agree with? Probably not. But at the end of the day, it's not my decision. It's not my money, right? So I tell a lot of people, man, I'm like, you know what? Hey, if you guys want to wait till next year, that's fine. And this is how I always end. I was like, hey, that's fine. You're just making the best decision for your best interest, and that's fine. I tell a lot of people, I'm like, look, if you are banking on just getting in with your down payment, you need to start saving more, because it's going to cost more to get into a house next year.
Correct.
I tell a lot of people, I have my down payment and my closing costs covered. You're still going to need a little bit more, because you're going to have to compete just in case it does go in over asking.
You need that cushion.
You need the cushion. And another thing is, are you going to be willing to settle for like just pretty much waiving like a home inspection? You guys are just doing a simple pass or fail. You don't want to ask for repairs. There's just a lot of things that you are going to sacrifice if you do wait for the rates to drop, and that's fine. And if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. That is your call. Do I think that's probably the best decision? No, but again, it's not my money. It's not my decision. All I can do is educate you guys and kind of give you my personal advice and why I think it's always nice to buy now. Because I can tell you, us three up here, when the rates were in the 2s and 3s, listen, it was
nuts.
I mean, guys, if you really want to talk about the wild, wild west, that's what it was. And I mean, literally, dude.
Imagine you.
You know what?
You're putting 15 different offers in, man, before one gets accepted. What happens if the first house you looked at, you and your whoever's going to live with you are like, this is it, this is the magical place, and then we get there and there's a line of cars of 50 people that are waiting to get down the door, and then you submit your offer 2 days or 2 hours after it goes live, and they've got 50 offers.
Yeah,
like, how heartbreaking that is, and it's just, it gets rough, man. And I'm not saying that that's what it's gonna do. I think there's a hot chance there's gonna be a mini version of it.
Yeah, definitely a mini version.
I definitely think that's gonna happen.
It's just one of those things. Like, you have to ask yourself: is it like, what's harder to do? I was like, what's harder to do? Is it harder for you to save money, or is it harder for you to just make an extra payment each month? Right? So I tell a lot of people, man, like some people who's got like 10 grand saved up, how long did it take you to save up 10 grand? Oh, well, it took me a couple of years. Okay. Well, you're going to have to save up another 10 grand to even be in the ballpark.
Which at that point, you'll know you're not in the ballpark still.
Yeah. And it's just, again, and that's why I just stress to a lot of people, you have to understand that, it's give and take. No matter what time you buy in, man, there are sacrifices.
And right now, if anybody out there, if you guys know anybody out there that's considering it, and they're talking to you about this, I mean, a very good. Again, it's not a sales pitch; it's just a thing, right?
No, 100%. It's sales pitch.
Sales pitch.
What you're about to hear?
No. You were going to buy for just $10.99, right? So 2 payments,
bi-weekly.
So here's the thing, right? This is what I tell people. I was like, look. Would you rather pay, let's say, $300 more a month?
Yep.
If it's comfortable, $300 more a month, or would you like to get off 30 grand cash that is taking you 10 years to save?
Yeah.
And I tell people, I was like, I just want a simple one or two. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Because right now, almost every seller, whether it's a private existing home, or it's a new construction builder home, right?
Yeah.
Almost everybody's giving out some kind of incentive.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Right? And what I mean by incentive, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, was you can use all those incentives towards your closing expenses. Not a down payment, but your closing, so your loan and your title, and which is really the major expensive part. And most people here are VA or they're FHA, right? So you're down. So VA, you have no down payment. If you're FHA,
3.5.
Yeah, you're going to do 3.5. So I was like, it's not a substantial amount of money. But let's say you only had the 10 grand.
Yeah.
Right. But that 10 grand should cover your 3.5% at that point.
Yep. Should.
So you should be able to get in affordably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my whole thing is affordably. It's not about let's max out all your stuff and spend all your money.
Yeah.
But if you waited, let's say you waited the rates drop, what do you think the first thing that's going to go away? Me as a guy who primarily lists houses, right? The first thing I would do to instruct my sellers is, hey, we need to not be taking stuff with incentives, and I'm not advertising anything with an incentive because I'm going to try to save my sellers the money.
Yep.
Well, as soon as all these the rates go down, there's more buyers out there, there's more people competing. That's the first thing that's going away.
Yep.
So if you put it mathematically in your head, just think $10,000, right? Because that's roughly somewhere between 9 and 12 is your average closing expenses cost.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the purchase price,
right,
for sure.
Like,
but
just think somewhere about 10 grand, just to make it an easy number. That's 10 grand that now you have to pay.
Yep.
So on top of your closing costs, or down payment.
Down payment. Yep.
Top of your down payment, if you have one, you now have to come to the table with another, let's say, 10 grand.
Yep.
All right. So that's what I'm trying to explain to people now. I was like, look, right now is the rates, yes, they are a little high, but right now is actually still a really good time to buy because houses aren't flying 3 days before they ever get listed.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's negotiation room.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're able to make deals happen. I'm able to get people things for a little bit lower prices. We're able to sell houses for a little better deal. We're able to get a little more concessions out of sellers right now.
But again, kind of was, circling back though, like, again, people who want to wait till next year, that's fine. Like, no, we're not, nobody's beating you up. Nobody's saying that what you're doing is wrong, except for him with an elbow. But it's all about education. Okay. And I just tell people, I'm like, look, dude, that's fine if you want to wait. We can tackle this, when the rates drop. You'll be my first call. That's fine. But I want you to understand you're going to just be in a different market, because what I don't want to happen is, people are just on the sideline waiting, and they have just enough for the down payment and maybe a little bit more, just maybe a little bit more, right? Like Adam just said, and, Kenneth has ran into it plenty of times, him being, listed for a big builder here too. I'm telling you, like Adam said, those concessions are going to dwindle quick. Mm-hmm. And when that so it's literally like, it was like a faucet, man. Like literally when the rates kind of shifted hard and the rates started spiking, it was like hot. Water was just flowing, and then all of a sudden, it was like over a night. I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
right?
And nothing.
And I'm telling you, what's about to happen is that faucet is either going to turn slowly like this, where it's going to like trickle in, or it's just going to be, and it's just going to start flooding down, and then that's where you're going to start seeing the feeding frenzy again. And again, I stress to a lot of people, like, it's all about preparation and proper expectations. If you want to wait till next year when the rates drop or they're more in your favor, that is fine. You need to save more money. That's it. Point blank period. If you're out going getting Starbucks every day, eating out every day, you better cut it out. I'll tell you right now, go hit up Dave Ramsey wholeheartedly. I'm not saying paid off all your debt, but he'll probably yell at you for like, hey, you have no business eating out, because I personally think that you need to penny pinch every penny you have between now and whenever you're ready to buy next year, because you're going to need every last penny of it.
Yeah, and with that, another good, if you're going to wait till next year, another good one is going to be file your taxes. As soon as
go buy the new truck. Kenneth is buying the new truck. I at some point will buy a new truck. No, don't even do it.
So as soon as the doors are open for that,
new truck,
for the taxes, you need to go file your taxes, because here's the thing: you get a tax return. Let's say you get $2,500 or whatever. That's $2,500 that goes towards this whole process, right?
Yep.
So that's a good incentive to be kind of, or a good target, if you will, to kind of be aiming for.
Yeah.
If you're going to do if you are serious, and I mean this wholeheartedly, if you are serious about really wanting to get into something, whether it's January or February or March or whatever next year, you just want to wait till the new year's over because you've got family coming in, you've got all these things going on, whatever the reason is, that's fine. But you need to get a hold of somebody, and we need to start doing some shopping and some looking now.
Yeah, you need to do your recon now and be prepped.
Yeah, no, because
when you're ready to pull the trigger, you already know and you can, and we're not spending a month trying to figure out what you want.
Yeah.
We can figure out what you want, and we'll just do it at the new year.
Yeah, because, the last thing we want you guys to do is kind of get discouraged right now because the rates are high. You wait on the sideline, you kind of ghost us, or you ghost whoever you were talking to, and then you're ready to pull the trigger once these rates drop, and then you're just blindsided by this shift in the market.
Yeah, you're left out, like you said.
Yeah, and, it's just going to be one of those things, guys, where, at some point, sometimes people are just one of those people that, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you say, they just have to experience it firsthand. And then, maybe, sometimes people will listen. And again, I can't sit here and preach and say, oh, you are making a huge mistake by not buying now. You're going to regret it, which I think you will regret it if the rates drop like they should. And you are out of pocket more money, but I tell everybody, you're like, oh, but I'm saving so much in interest. But I'm like, but I want you to understand, we talked about this analogy before. When people bought in the 2s and 3s and they went over asking, paid all their closing costs, guys, you paid for that interest rate. Yep. You may be happy now, which is great, and that's awesome because you got such a low payment. I mean, the low payment and lower interest rate. But guys, think about how much money these people forked up to get that rate. In a nutshell, that's what it came down to. So you look at it in a different spotlight where you can get in and you can always refinance to that. And you don't have to worry about spending 30, 20, 30 grand out of your own money, out of your own pocket just to get into a certain rate.
So that's my fear, and that what I tell all the other buyers, and Kenneth does the same thing, is. I cannot stress to you, like, all jokes aside, seriously, it is not a sales pitch or a gimmick or to drag somebody to buy a house. It's not. My fear is that once they're actually ready to do it because they haven't done the prep or the recon in the beginning, they're not going to be able to.
You're going to be blindsided pretty quick.
Dude, there were so many people during those times that would come to me, that whether referrals from past clients or referrals from friends, and we'd sit down and I'd literally look at them and be like, guys, how much cash you got to light on fire? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, look, I'm not trying to make you spend money, but the reality is this. You got to have at least X amount of money to either pay your closing costs, to pay, closing expenses and your down payment, or closing expenses plus inspections and stuff like that. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to get pre-approved and I can go buy this. No, there's a lot that's going into this.
Yeah,
and if they're not educated enough, like, guys, you're gonna miss the ball.
Yeah, but then it also goes like, that's why it's important to shop or to land somewhere where you're with somebody who understands the market, right? Because I can promise you, man, like, even during when the rates were the 2s and 3s, I had people shopping and they would come to me. Oh, hey, we got it pre-approved for this. What can you guys pre-approve us with? Okay, sure. Yeah, let's run the numbers. Ran the numbers, and then I was like, hey, well, you guys are good up to here. What's your savings, or what's your bank look like? Just so you guys understand what market you're about to walk into. Oh, well, the last lender said we can just ask the seller to pay for your closing costs. And I had I remember this wholeheartedly. I was like,
you can ask.
So I was like, hey, guys, you guys got about 10 minutes? I was like, I'm going to talk your ear off. And ever since, like, when they did that, believe it or not, they decided to go with the other lender. I found out later from the agent, because I had let the agent know, hey, I talked to them. Sounds like they're going with the other lender. And I was like, they never got into a house. And it was just because the agent and them were just spinning their wheels because they were banking on the seller. And I was like, dude, like, that's what I was trying to tell you.
It's not a
like,
guarantee.
Yeah, I was like, that.
Even now, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, and it was just the reality. And then, believe it or not, it happened, it was a couple months later after the market kind of cooled off a little bit. They texted me and said, hey, we're sorry we ghosted you. And we're sorry, we should have listened, but we actually just decided to rent, and then I think they ended up actually getting orders to go somewhere else. So I mean, it kind of worked out for them. It worked out for them. But it just goes to show you too, like why education is so important. And I think especially with these podcasts, like it's kind of like one of the things. Like, yes, we're goofballs. Yeah, we like to joke around, but we definitely like to throw some knowledge out there, just because there's just a lot of misinformation out there that a lot of people just don't understand.
And us as agents, me and Adam, we see it on a daily basis. You know, especially at open houses. And just it's my goal with everyone that I come in contact with, that they leave the open house a little bit more sharp on their education.
Yeah.
What's really going on, whether or not they want to buy a house now or a year down the road. At least I was able to give them something of value.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. I mean, that's our biggest. It's been my biggest goal since the beginning. Him and I bumming around together. Him as well. It's they're not sales pitches. We're just trying to give you guys some information.
You guys will understand when somebody's trying to sell you.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cheesy, and you get that weird grimy feeling. You're like, that guy's.
Listen. I can guarantee you, like, it's just one of those things. Like, I genuinely think that when people talk to us, man, they're comfortable with us because at the end of the day, we're just real, man. Like, we're not trying to sugarcoat anything. We're not trying to hide anything. We don't want to do like a little bait and switch with you. It doesn't benefit anybody.
I was like, it benefits nobody. And in the same question or the same conversation we have, a lot of people that feel that way is we're not. And this is no derogatory shame, if you will, towards car salesmen, but that's not what we are. There are no monies in this transaction that we can just move and shift and move around and be like, hey, I'm making more now. It doesn't, guys. It doesn't work that way. Like it's all.
And I mean, but no matter what, man, it's just like I said. The stat I gave you guys, it was like 62% or 64% of people have a bad transaction, and it's
64. I think.
Yeah, 64. And when you think about it, it's just like the odds are not in our favor. Like that means there's so much that can go wrong that there is. A high percentage that somebody's not going to be happy.
Well, how many buyers or sellers, either one, right? Buyers or sellers, have you ran into, or do you run into, that when you sit down, we have a conversation with them, are like completely just like, man, we're like a double's arm lengths away, and they don't really want to let you have all the information and you find out as you kind of peel through the layers. It's because whatever they were told by whoever before, it was literally almost happened the exact opposite of what they were told.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's our fight, and for us, that's our fight to try to get through to win somebody, in a sense, to where, again, it's not about a sales pitch. It's facts. It's facts and it's math. Like I literally, and it's an agreement between the buyer and the seller.
Yep.
Like, dude, I have no part in this. Like, you tell me to write something, I write it and I submit it, and then he comes back and says, my seller said screw you, and I go, hey, the seller says screw you, and then we go to the next one. Like I was like, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no like, magical thing we're doing to benefit us. The magical thing we're doing, if you will, is actually spending the time to be like uber educated on our market, and I would say tactics in a sense, but it's really, okay, so what is getting houses sold right now? What on this listing side and the selling or buying side, what's getting people into contract, right? Yeah. And what's keeping the contract done, and what's getting everybody to closing. Yeah. So that way I can go to buyer over here and be like, all right, Goober, check it out. This is statistically or market-wise, if you will, this is kind of what the trends we're seeing right now.
Yep.
And at least you can kind of...
You're painting the picture.
Right. Brief it up front and be like, look, this is... We're going to shoot for A, but understand that B and C could end up being an option. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just because we don't know yet. We haven't shot that shot yet.
You're setting those expectations right then and there.
Yeah. And see, but that's why... I think that's why you guys and then, plenty of other, agents I work closely with are very... Like, it's always a worst case with me. Like, no matter what. Like, I'm going to set you up worst case, okay? And I always give cushion numbers and the whole nine because, one, it protects me from me looking like the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And then, two, I don't want to get your hopes up and you're so fixated on one, like, monthly payment maybe. And then I killed your dreams by undercutting your insurance by $50. And now your payment goes up $50 and you're like, This was not in my budget. I hate you. I'm going to go burn your building down. I'm like, well, I got the deal done.
This random online vendor said they could do it.
Yeah. So, so again, some people tuning in, but it's just one of those things where, guys, again, this is a podcast. This Facebook Live is just here, just for you guys to tune in while we're doing it. But our main focus is we do got this computer screen that Kenneth is looking into. That is very funny. It's a podcast that we have on YouTube, and it's Clarksville Real Estate Adventure. Yes, good night. Clarksville Real Estate Adventures. Again, we do have 3 people, but we haven't done anything to promote it, which is kind of nice, kind of cool. I'll take it. I'll freaking take it. Win. It is a win. But yeah, and again, as this grows, we're gonna get better stuff, better camera, better equipment, better software. But this is really just kind of the launch pad to where I wanted to grow into something bigger, because I think, again, we were talking about Laura, because Laura chimed in a couple of weeks ago, and we have a transaction now where it's me, her, and the buyer, and this listing agent, and I'm like, how does this listing agent even function? But and then she kept reverting back to, I've been doing this for 38 years, and I'm like,
things change.
I'm like, well, look, man, I'll be honest with you, like, experience to me, like that, like saying how long you've been in the industry for, doesn't hold the value as much as maybe it used to in the past. Maybe. Okay.
Your actions.
Yeah.
Because actions speak louder.
Because, heck, I'm creeping up on my 5th year in this whole industry, and I'll be honest with you, man. I've talked to some people who's been in the industry for a hot minute, and my twitches talking to them, because I'm like, how do you not know this? Like, it's like very basic stuff.
And it goes back to the foundation of education.
Yeah.
Your actions will be a representation of that. How educated are you? And not how educated are you, throughout the course of history of real estate, but right now.
Yeah.
And what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And how this market here is affecting buyers and sellers. And how knowledgeable are you of that? And you can definitely tell within a few minutes of talking to another agent if they're up to par.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think at the end of the day, guys, it's just, I think we can kind of start wrapping things up. But, we'll do a quick recap, and then we'll do a shameless plug again about our event this week. But I think...
All shame.
I think, where we kind of leave it off at is where, yes, towards how do we project the end of the year ending. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility, guys.
You could be at 10 years, agent who's only closed 5 deals.
That is true. That is true. But again, just as a recap, it's just one of those things where, again, I do project rates to be a little volatile, but I think we're going to end on a good note. And I think coming up into next year, we should start seeing a nice trend to where, it's going to be a little bit more favorable. And then again, kind of going back to the education part. Again, if you guys do want to sit on the sideline and you want to wait till the rates to drop, no shame, no harm, no foul. You circle back around to us or whoever you're working with, and I would just encourage you to just save every penny you have, because you're more than likely going to need it. And let's just say, let's just say hypothetically you don't. Let's just say the rates drop and it's not as crazy as we anticipate, which I'm going to find that extremely hard to believe. But let's just say hypothetically rates drop and we can still get sellers to pay some concessions, which, again, I don't see it happening, but let's just say it does.
Take your agent out for a nice steak dinner.
But I'm going to say, look, you're going to be walking to your house and you have savings. Okay, so it's going to be a win-win regardless. Yeah. You can wait, save up, and if you just have your down payment now and you're just so fixated on the rate, cool. You want to get your down payment, you want to double up that bad boy, because that's what it's probably going to cost you to get into a house next year if the rates drop.
I highly recommend you reach out to whoever you're going to be working with, and start doing your recon, your research now.
Yep.
There's tons of subdivisions open. There's tons of different houses open. You can go through. You can pee on some carpet, kick some stoves, check out. All jokes aside, figure out what you like, what you don't like.
Chris Hodges is on here.
What's up, my man? So
the bow tie home guy.
Oh,
but you can basically kind of just get all these I don't want to say butterflies, but you can get all these like questions kind of answered now.
Yeah.
And just let that agent know up front, hey, look, I want to go look at some stuff. We're just trying to get an idea of what looks affordable, what this much, so say my pre-approval is $350, right? What does $350 really get me? And we can actually go look at some stuff. And if you want to wait a month or two to pull the trigger, that's fine.
Yeah.
But at least we have an idea of what and where you kind of want to be between physical location and price.
Yeah, and again, we've chatted about it before, and Kenneth, I think you were here. Is you know what? Let's go down the road. Kenneth, what was your very first vehicle?
It was a 1996 Dodge Neon, and
Hell
yes,
yeah.
I had true story. All right, I put Dayton, like the lowrider, Dayton rims on it. Okay, I thought it was cool.
I don't even.
Even before that, I put the Walmart spinner hubcaps.
My man, that's what's
It
up.
was sweet
You just
until I blew the head gasket.
Bro, we had a Polaris Ranger
Yeah,
in Afghanistan with hubcap spinners on it.
absolutely.
so okay. Well, look, you had a Dodge Neon, but
Yeah.
at the time, what was your dream vehicle?
It was a Mustang, just an older Mustang.
Okay.
I really wanted one.
Okay,
Yeah.
you. What was your very first car?
My very first vehicle was a 1964 Chevy long bed.
You're an idiot for gonna letting that go.
Yep.
Yep. yeah.
Well, when I joined the Army, obviously I parked at the house, and then I went overseas the first time, and then when I was getting ready to PCS to Fort Drum, I decided to leave it there because if I took it to Fort Drum, it would have just completely rusted away. So.
Okay. Well, what was your dream vehicle at the time? If you could have gotten any vehicle,
Any giant jacked up lifted 4-wheel drive pickup.
Well, my first car was a 1998 Firebird. And it had T-tops and all. And I thought that was the baddest thing ever. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, snap, man.
And, was it my dream car? No. But, you know what? It got me from point A to point B.
That's right.
The reason why I bring that up is, again, a lot of you guys sometimes set your expectations extremely high. And maybe that's why you do want to wait for the race to drop, because you want to get into your dream home where it's a little bit more affordable. But I'm telling you, especially for your first home, I would not bank on it crossing off single thing and making it your dream home.
And like Adam always preaches about affordability, right?
Yeah.
And then look at it from an investment
Yeah.
perspective. And if you can wrap your mind around that and really see that, I think you guys will be better off.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And I honestly think that, sometimes it's just, with autos, I mean, it's a depreciating asset. So with a home, you can't really lose on it. And again, it may be something that, like let's just say your first car, you need to get it from point A to point B, and maybe if you went to college, it's just supposed to get you through college until you're able to get what you want, right? Yeah. Just to get you by. Sometimes, like a house, I'm not saying go buy something like where your family's in danger from, like maybe it's a shady part or whatever.
Just share the link so you can subscribe. The YouTube thing.
No. Yeah, I guess I could. I probably should. I'll put it in the description. How about that on this live video and when we're done.
But no, I see your point.
But no, like wholeheartedly, some people want to, and I understand people work extremely hard, save up their money for a down payment, and they're ready to pull the trigger. But once they look out there and they're like, well, I'm only pre-approved for $300K.
Right.
A house I want is $370, $380.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wait till the rates to drop because I know I can afford that whenever the rates drop.
Because if the critical thing, and I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
mean to cut you off. The critical thing that everybody the thought process is not fully complete with that statement, because this thing I talked about at the beginning was appreciation.
Yeah. Yep.
So again, if we're talking, let's say for just easy math, let's say $15,000.
Yep.
That house is now $375 today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a year from now, if you're waiting for these rates to drop, it's now $400
Yep.
Or more.
or more.
Yeah. So yeah.
You're always going to be behind the 8 ball. If that makes sense. You're always behind
That's
the
why
power
it
curve.
is imperative, like you said, if you're thinking about purchasing down the road or here shortly, come out to one of our open houses or reach out to an agent and
Yep.
talk to them.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and play the guessing game.
Yeah.
Please get educated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like I said, so it's just, I really hope you guys take a lot out of this. When we speak each week, I do appreciate the constant people who come in on live, aka Crystal. And I can't wait to show you after this podcast. I cannot wait. You're gonna laugh. You're probably gonna get a side cramp from laughing so hard because you know what? It's been on my truck apparently for a while, and I didn't notice. Did not notice, so this is gonna be fun. And you know what? They're still on there. That's the saddest part. They didn't even bother taking them off yet.
They're awesome.
But no, it's we're gonna catch up next week. I think, man, maybe next week we bring in Journey.
I like
Yes.
it. I like it.
Journey Home Inspections. You've been tagged.
Yep. So we're gonna get a home inspector in here just so you guys understand. What's the importance of having a home inspection?
We might be able to do it in that. Set it up in that other room.
Yeah, that's fine.
A little bit bigger area.
Yeah, yeah. And is that Langley?
It is. Mr. Michael Langley. What's going on, bro?
See, and if Mike Langley came in here, okay, one, he would have to get the middle seat because
He's a big guy.
we sit up like this, okay. If Mike comes in here, Mike's about like yay tall. He's not even gonna fit in the camera.
He won't fit in the
have to
camera.
adjust
not
everything.
even up, not even
No,
in,
he won't.
in our live stream. Like, no.
We-
Grow
we
shorter.
could-
Grow shorter, Mike.
We would see the full crotchal region.
Wear your nice Gucci belt. Show us that bad boy. But no, hope you guys get a little kick out of it. Come next week, we'll bring in Journey Home Inspection. And guys, I am going to post a Facebook post next week, the day of, or maybe the day before, and just kind of get some feedback. And this is going to be a home inspection question. Like, hey, we're bringing on a home inspector.
Absolutely.
What do you guys? What's some questions you guys had, or maybe you guys bought a home in the past? Was there something on the home inspection report that you didn't understand, or maybe you thought was supposed to be replaced, but it ended up not being replaced? We can ask James, hey, is this something you would recommend them replacing, or just letting bygones be bygones?
Or how would you kind of work through that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a good one.
So, cool, guys.
And
That's
don't
it.
forget, this
Oh,
Saturday from 3 to 6 in the Boulder subdivision, we're doing our bearded spooky scavenger hunt. All right, so bring out the kids, bring out everybody, dress up. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. Yep. I almost forgot about that. So, yeah, Boulder Subdivision this week starting at 3. Follow the flags, guys. And, there's going to be some prizes that we're going to be giving out as long as you guys complete the scavenger hunt itself. Mm-hmm. And, we look forward to having a good time. So,
All right, guys.
So, we'll see you guys.
Bless.
See you guys then.
We'll see you. That's it.